major influence to almost any drummer that I've known or worked with over the years. Played on a lot of Dylan sessions, but what I wanted to ask about was him touring behind the gospel tours. What's something that he shared from that?
Keltner is probably the premier example of someone who goes in and out
Yeah.
a lot, and in his case, comes back in a lot. In fact, since the book came out, he's been Bob's drummer again. He's not anymore, but for much of last year, he was Dylan's drummer. So he keeps coming back in. Yeah, I mean, the gospel era is one of my favorite eras to talk about and to interview these people about. And I have a number in the book. Just this sort of it's this fascinating thing where it's sort of, even though it's less maybe well known than like Going Electric pissing off the folkies, like it's kind of the same thing. Bob Dylan just
Yeah.
angers everyone by going full Christian and not singing any of his old songs. And they have these stories about being booed and heckled, and just things thrown at them. But Kellner's there the entire way. He starts in the first tour, and just runs through these 3 years. And he for him and for some of the other guys, like I sort of probe or would try to probe a little, like, oh, what did you think about Bob going Christian or making all this very, very evangelical music?
Yeah.
And almost to a guy, they're like, music's music. Like, we weren't really concerned. It had a great groove. Jerry Wexler
Yeah.
was producing some of this stuff. Like, it sounded great to us. We weren't super concerned with with what everyone else was concerned about. Everyone's so outraged about Bob Dylan going Christian. They're like, hey, if it's good music, it's good music.
It's funny talking about the gospel stuff because I just recently, actually, since purchasing the book, bought those three CDs. And I'd never heard, well, I'd heard of course, Serve Somebody and a
Hmm.
couple other songs, but especially the first one is what's that, Soul Train Come.
Hmm.
That's a really good record.
It's a great record. It's like one of his best of the 70s. It's funny with Dylan, he has these periods of controversy, right? That being a big one.
Yeah.
But it does feel like as the years go by, the music is almost always reappraised. Like they'll do these bootleg series,
Yeah.
big box sets every year or
Right.
two. And to some degree, I think the most interesting ones are the ones that are compiling a period where people thought he was crap, which says this amazing one, Trouble No More, that's all this gospel stuff. And it's just like totally brilliant music. Or they did one for Self Portrait, which is the famous Rolling Stone review that starts, "What is this shit?" Like just absolutely derided record. But it turns out you just listen to the raw sessions and like they're amazing.
Yeah.
So it is funny, which is not to say that everything he has ever done has been genius. Lord knows it is not. But these periods that seem very divisive at the time are not even divisive. People just straight up don't like. Often in retrospect, there's a lot to like. And I think that quote unquote gospel era is a really big one.